Here's yet another review that's going to make someone very, very happy. I've been asked to do this review many, many times, and I'm finally going to do it. I sat down and I watched Orphan, which I haven't seen since theaters. And I will tell you this, obviously, spoilers. If you've seen the channel before, you know that. This is a movie, now this isn't because I am trying to brag or think I'm smart or anything. It's just every once in a while you'll go to a movie and you'll figure out the twist way before it's revealed to you. And I was in the theater with this girl that I saw the movie with, and I leaned over to her. Maybe I don't remember at what point. I think maybe it was when Esther was playing the piano really well. I can't remember what it was, but I was sitting there and I was just like, I leaned over and I was like, she's not a little girl. And she's like, what? And I'm like, she's not a little girl. I'm like, something's wrong here. I'm like, she's acting like an adult. Like, I think she's an adult. And she's like, what? No bullshit. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I think that's what's going on here. And I just so happened to be right. It was just funny, but great twist. And I think Esther is an extremely iconic evil kid. So we have the evil kid movies, and the most memorable ones being The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin, obviously being one. The Bad Seed, which is kind of what The Good Son is almost a remake of. You've got Bloody Birthday with Billy Jacoby and a couple other kids. Really good killer kid movie. There's a decent amount of them, obviously. I mean, you could bring in The Omen with Damien, although at that point he's not really a killer kid, so I don't really think that one counts. But it is an evil child. But I like this more realistic take on things. But I guess at the end of the day, can Esther be considered a killer kid? She's not a killer kid. She's 33 years old. So yes, she's presented as a killer child, but she's not. She's just kind of almost a slasher villain, but not really. I mean, this is more of like a thriller. But regardless, it's a very good evil kid movie for sure. It has a 6.9 on IMDb, which I was pleasantly surprised about. I would think that this would have, a low 6, but a high almost 7. That's pretty good. I mean, I think that's fair. I think it's a fair rating for this. I don't know many people that don't like this movie. They exist, of course, but I don't know many. So, yeah. All right. So let's talk about it, David B. So we got Vera Farmiga in here, which I always love seeing her. Beautiful woman, great actress, great stuff. And she has this obviously nightmarish opening. The way that it's shot is instantly letting you in on that this is a nightmare or the situation is going to be nightmarish, because everything's very foggy, hazy, and I dig that. The director of because you guys know that I hate dream fake out sequence bullshit. But if you let me know that it's a dream, then I'm fine. Then go ahead, show us all the trippy imagery, have it play into the story, have it matter. Don't just have it be a fake out jump scare to have a fake out jump scare. Like, have some substance to it. Give me a reason why they're dreaming that, and let me know really quickly in that I'm watching a dream and I'm okay with dream sequences. So the director of this is his horror follow-up to the House of Wax film, which I think is a really damn good slasher flick, which I've mentioned before. Then he made The Shallows, which is another good shark horror flick. And then he worked with Liam Neeson on about 4 movies in a row. And now he's working with The Rock on 2 movies in a row with The Jungle Cruise and Black Adam. So this guy's had a pretty dang good career. I'm going to adjust this freaking stand a little bit here. Just like that, so that I can lean back a little bit more. There we go. We're gonna get a little more comfy, like I'm at the fucking psychiatrist's office. All right, so we find out that she had a stillbirth, which for me, I mean, that's seriously got to be one of the most horrendous things you could possibly ever go through. I can't even imagine a woman carrying a baby to term and then losing it and still having to deliver it and everything. Like, yeah, like they tell you it's stillborn and then you still got to go through pushing it out and everything. The trauma that would create is just wild to me. I feel like there's a lot going on here though. Like, she has a miscarriage, she has a stillbirth, but then she also is like drunk and almost lets her kid drown and such. It's like, I don't know. Like, for me, it just needed to be one or the other. But it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It just seems a little overkill. It's like this family can't catch a break. And maybe that's what they're getting at in this movie. Like, this family just genuinely cannot catch a fucking break. Which they really, really can't. Because they got a deaf kid, they've got a dead kid, and now they've adopted an evil kid who's not actually a kid. So, man, these guys. Now, the actress in this is like 24 now. Beautiful, beautiful woman. I think she was in... Was it down a dark hall with like Uma Thurman and who else was in that movie? I think that's the movie she was in. And I was looking at her, if I'm remembering correctly here. I was looking at her. I was like, why do I know this girl? Like, she's so pretty. I feel like I should know her. And I'm like, I'm almost positive that's the movie. And if it isn't that movie, then it's something like that. But man, she's just an adorable little girl in this movie. So I think she's extremely believable in that, like, you want to take her home, you want her to be your kid. Like, she's just such a little sweetheart. She's adorable, and it's like, I would love to foster someone or adopt a kid one day. I have two of my own, and I have no doubt that once I start dating here soon enough, that at my age, more than likely, I'm going to date a girl with a kid or two or three, who knows. Preferably 2 or under, but, you know, life has its way of not really paying attention to what you want. So, yeah, I mean, if I started dating a chick with like 2-3 kids or something, and I have my 2 kids, yeah, I wouldn't want to really much adopt or foster, but let's say down the line a little bit, I still didn't have any other kids in mind, I would totally be open to it. I think it's great. In fact, I'm somebody who believes that, like, I get if you want to have your own kid. Like, I totally get it. You want to pass the genes on. It's your blood kid. 100% I get it. But once you've had one, then be done making children, because there's so many kids out there that need homes. So you made your one, you got it, you got your bloodline, it's going to continue. Now adopt another. You know, it's easier on your body, it's easier on everything. Like, it makes sense to me. It just makes sense to me. And that was my original intention. I just so happened to have twins. So there wasn't really much I could do about that. But I did. I always thought, like, I'll have the one. I want one and one only. And if I want any more from there, I'll adopt. I'll marry into a kid, whatever. But I don't want to have any more. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just saying that's what logically makes sense to me. With overpopulation being one issue, and you know, lots of kids not having the proper homes. So I totally get it. I totally get, like, because some people could watch this and be like, they already have 2 kids, you know, and they lost a kid. Like, why do they want to bring another one in? And it's like, well, A, I think it's a good thing to do, and B, because they want to fill that void that losing their stillborn child had on them. They want to fill that in. So they bring her home, and of course the little brother is instantly jealous. And he's sitting there playing Rock Band, which Rock Band always brings me back to when I was living with these guys, Justin and Ryan, who I told that story about how I showed them the Serbian film, or a Serbian film, as like my introduction to meeting them and on if I was going to live there or not. And somehow they still let me live there. But we used to play Rock Band like crazy, and we bought, I think I might have told this story before on the channel, I don't know, but regardless, I think it's fucking funny. We got really into it. Of course, my brother and I always get way overboard into things. We can never just do anything like, you know, at a 1, everything has to be dialed to an 11 with us. So we were playing Rock Band, and of course, like, all the girls we were hanging out at the time thought it was lame. So like they left, and I bought this Rock Band fog machine. They made a fog machine, like a set, like a stage kit is what it was. Rock Band stage kit. I bought that. It had like, it had a strobe light of different colors, and it had a fog machine. So like the whole room would fill up with smog, and lights would be going crazy. And we went out and we bought like wigs, Rock Band wigs, not actually like licensed Rock Band wigs, but rocker wigs. And then we turned on the fog machine. We got the lights going, and we just like, and my buddy put his drum set, the Rock Band drum set, up on the coffee table in the living room. And these girls came home, and they thought we were lame before just for playing all the time, but when they came through that door and it looked like fucking Woodstock in there, like not even, it was like Woodstock meets a fucking rave or something. It was like some crazy concert. Like they came in, we were all in wigs and we were fucking bashing our heads. We had downloaded some extra songs on there, so we were playing some hard metal, like some death metal, and like I think I was on vocals, my brother was on guitar, and then, you know, whatever. And they came in, and the whole room was filled with fog, and the lights were going, and we were just like, and I've never seen so many women have a desire to leave men altogether at once. Like they all instantly lost every bit of interest they ever had in any of us. It was amazing. So anytime I see anybody playing Rock Band in a movie in real life, that's the moment I always think of. So, anybody else play Rock Band? Was anybody else pretty into it? We really, really were into it when it came out. And then when you play it so much and your vision would get all like you'd look at the carpet and it would start moving like you're on psychedelics. That shit was trippy. Anyways, moving on. So the little kid goes up into his... okay, I should say, if I could change something about this movie, because I think mostly it's kind of a perfect movie for what it is. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me on this because I guess I'm fucked up, but I think it would have been way more impactful, especially for the horror community, had Esther been successful in killing the little brother. Like, she goes in there and she smothers his ass with a pillow as he's like almost in a coma. He does awake, so he's not like really in a coma. But she fucking suffocates him with a pillow. She puts the heart rate monitor on her finger, by the way, which is just brilliant. I love that. And then she smothers his ass, and then they come back and they're like, we got a pulse. No. He should have fucking died. I know, people are like, Jason wants to murder a child in the movie. Yes, I think it would have had a much greater impact into the film. It would have had such a stronger punch to it if she suffocated that fucking kid and they couldn't bring him back. That would have just added to the insanity of it all and give even more reason for Vera to despise this little girl. You know, I get it. Trying to kill her kid is enough, but being successful would have just packed a more emotional punch into the film. How many times do you see kids suffocated with pillows in films that actually it goes through by the killer? Never. Never. So that's one thing I would definitely change. Oh man, this movie also really illustrates how hard children are in relationships. Like they just try to have like a normal moment where they just want to fuck in the kitchen, you know, and before kids, you can just fuck in the kitchen, you can fuck in the living room, you can fuck in the car, you can fuck anywhere you want, and it's wonderful, right? Um, but then kids come in the picture, and then you can't come in anything except for your bedroom, which they seem to fucking infiltrate all the time, just as much as Esther does in here, because she wants, of course, to get at the dad. That's what this is all about. And yeah, just watching them have sex in the kitchen, and they're all into it, and they're just like, oh, we shouldn't do this, of course, is what makes it hotter, is that you shouldn't be doing it. Um, but then little Esther walks in, and I'm like, oh, it sucks, man. It just sucks. Like, kids don't understand the sacrifice. They'll never get it. But they didn't ask to get it either. It's not like they asked to be born. But you will never realize the sacrifice your parents made until you are a parent yourself. And then you start to go, unless your parents sucked, you know, like my mother. Then I just look back and go, it's not really that hard for you to have been a better mom. Like, it's actually kind of like natural for you to be way better than you were. Anyways, I'm not going to have a fucking therapy session right now and cry all over you guys. But it's just interesting how that all works out. And of course, this whole movie is about parenting and kids and that dynamic. So how can I not talk about it? And the little daughter in this, the deaf daughter, grows really close to her. So she covers through her kind of throughout the movie, but changes her mind on that. Reminds me a lot of the relationship between Peyton and the little girl in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Peyton very much wins her over, Rebecca De Mornay's character, and she's able to kind of keep her on her side for a while until finally towards the end she's just like, Peyton, you're bad, you know, as this little girl realizes in here. They give her shit for her outfits that she goes to school in. Now, I do believe the kids in school would pick on her because kids are little assholes and they'll fucking pick on anyone for any reason. But I genuinely think her outfits in this movie are adorable. So, I don't know. Like, I guess they're supposed to look embarrassing and old-timey or something. But I think all the outfits that Esther wears, her little necklace and all that stuff, her little choker, I guess, fucking adorable. So, I don't know. And that little girl that fucks with her, and then she just pushes her off. The nicest fucking park play set I've ever seen. That thing was huge and gorgeous and incredible. The ones I go to are like fucking hanging, pieces are broken off and shit. And even nice areas, like there's always something broken. The play area is really small. Like this thing looked like a community. It looked like a fucking town center or something. This thing was huge. It's great. So she just goes and she just pushes that little bitch off there. Now, I don't know, man. Like, I'm always the guy that's saying bullies should be bullied back, and I agree. Pushing this girl off, I can assure you this. Agree or disagree. That little girl more than likely never bullied another person again. After she got pushed off that shit and broke her leg, I bet you she never said shit to no one again. So, does it work? Is it okay to do? I don't know. Probably not, but sure seems to be effective. And of course, okay, so I'm not saying this is unrealistic per se, but I feel like the dad looks past way too much. That said, I think they also do a pretty good job of creating just enough strife between them. Just enough doubt on both sides where he cheated 10 years ago. She didn't find out about it until 8 years later, so it's 2 years fresh to her as opposed to 10. It's not like she found out about it when it happened. Although at that time, they already had kids together, so, you know, you reveal it then, That's the dick move, right? Is like, we already have a family together. What are you gonna do? Leave? And some people say yes, and some people are like, well, now I feel like I'm stuck. But they seem to have a pretty good relationship in this movie. But then he's got his shit on her. She was drinking and she was hysterical, and he almost let their kid die. And I don't know, he can't blame her for the death of the other kid, but there is going to be some form of, I don't know what the word would be here, but there's going to be distance that's created from losing a child, period. So that's kind of just inherent in it anyway. So you've got that, you've got the cheating, you've got the drinking, you've got all these things. So, and the trust there, the trust as well. I like that she can play the piano, and I think that she has a great excuse for like why she lied, and is like, you just seem so happy teaching me. I didn't want to let you know that I could play. So there you go. Puts the little gun to the kid's head and is like, want to play Russian roulette? That's a dark scene, man. That's such a little cute girl. You got CCH Pounder in here, who plays the nun, the chick who runs the orphanage, and she gets beaten to death by a hammer. Esther, a little girl at this point in the movie, we still think it's a little girl, takes a hammer and beats this woman's face in, drags her down into a freaking snowy banks, and like, ditches her in a ravine. It's dark stuff, man. And she has like a little deaf girl, help her hide the body. Nuts. And then Esther goes in and fools the shrink because, she thinks she's dealing with a child, and she's not. The blacklight paintings that she has in this movie, great stuff, man. That's that little extra that just adds to movies. Some movies just feel so generic and bland, and movies like this, we've seen this kind of movie many times, outside of the twist, of course. But it's just those little extra moments, the blacklight paintings, and just little touches throughout can drastically change a movie because they're just memorable things. They're well thought out. They're cool. Even if they're attached to a movie that has been done 1,000 times, you can always make it unique and special. And some people just don't try anything and don't put anything interesting in their films. Then she goes and she destroys the special roses that her kid was growing. Like, they have the ashes in there, and those roses, of course, mean the world to this woman. And she does it on purpose, just to make her look like she's, being a bitch and attacking her. And then she goes and she breaks her own arm with a vice. Do you have any idea what kind of pain tolerance and what kind of commitment you'd have to something to put your arm in a vice and just keep cranking it until your arm breaks, and then to push the bone back into place so that it just looks like a fracture? Like, she's such a manipulative fucking asshole in this. Oh man, I love it. And then Vera goes and tries to drink, and she has the willpower to stop, but she buys 2 bottles, gets rid of one, keeps the other, and of course this spreads doubt in the husband, and he starts thinking she must be drinking. Esther can't be bad. She's a sweet little girl. And then the pulling the parking brake thing with the little girl in the car and chasing after it, the amount of anxiety a parent has watching that sequence of thinking you've let your child bear down the fucking, on-ramp, or I guess the driveway to the school, and so many cars almost hit her. She like plows into an embankment at the bottom, which was like a graceful stop for the car, but so many horrible things could have happened. And I feel like at this point is when the little deaf girl would have got out and been like, Esther's a little cunt. She needs to be murdered right now. Like, she watched Esther do it. Like, I just don't feel like she would cover for her anymore. Yes, there's a point where Esther goes to her and she's like, if you tell, I'll kill mommy. That is such an absolutely insanely evil line to tell a little deaf girl. It's just, Esther is so fucking evil, and I love it. I'll shoot mommy if you tell. There you go. And I feel so bad for Vera Farmiga's character in this. Like, no one will listen to her, and she just had so many horrible things happen. I feel bad. And then The son is saved by the daughter. She goes and she's gonna crush his head with a rock. She's just so brutal. She does it to a bird earlier, and then she's gonna recreate it on that son's head. And I like how she takes the little girl's hearing aid so she can't like hear her killing her dad if the dad rejects her, like she thinks he might, because it's happened multiple times. She just needs to find herself a fucking pedophile. Now, I will say this. Once the reveal happens, this reminds me very much of the question I was left with when I was watching Interview with the Vampire. And that is, and there was a Law and Order SVU episode that kind of tackled this as well. If you're a woman that looks like a child, like let's say you have some rare hormone disorder or something like that in this movie, some genetic disorder, whatever, and you essentially just look 12 years old, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you're like a 30-fucking-year-old woman, you want to date, you want to get laid, you want to do these things, but then like the only people you're going to attract are going to be pedophiles, essentially. But you're not a pedophile if you fuck a girl who looks 12 and is 30 years old and is a completely willing participant. It's just a weird thing. That I could get really into that subject, and then I think people would start to question like what I mean. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But it just, I don't know, I feel so bad for Kirsten Dunst's character in Interview with the Vampire. She gets bit when she's like 10 or 12 or something, and she's like that age for life, and she wants romance, she wants to get fucked, she wants to have an adult life. She's a 100-year-old woman at this point, hundreds of years old. She wants to lead an adult life, but she can't because no men are going to want to fuck her because she looks like a kid, and the guys who would want to fuck her are perverts that you wouldn't want fucking you, So it's like, it's such a jacked situation. So I feel bad for Esther, but by the end of the movie, I don't feel bad for Esther. There's other ways to go about this. But she's fucked in the head. She's supposed to only be 9 years old in this movie. She does not look 9. She looks her age. She looks the actress's age, which is 12, which what's the point of making her 9 when the actress is 12? Like, just make her 12. I don't know. She doesn't look 9. But that's nor here. It doesn't matter. Just I thought that was odd. Oh man, imagine trying to drive in the snow frantically while freaking out and trying to like make cell phone calls and worrying about your family and all that while you just kind of came out of the hospital or just drugged up and everything. How she even made it to the house is beyond me. Sign language is definitely a good language to adopt if you're going to be in a horror movie, because you can communicate really quietly, which is a good thing. I like that when she knocks Esther out, she takes the gun and leaves with it, so good for her. I think it would be hard to kill somebody who you think was your kid there for a minute. So I think her running off like that with the kid actually is kind of justifiable in this moment, although I think I would have tried to pin her little ass and make sure that she couldn't move until the cops got there, because she called the cops, so she knows they're coming. And she's a pretty little girl, so I think you could absolutely hold her down. Although she's psycho, right? She's got psycho strength. And then they go under the ice, and that's terrifying. And then she elbows Esther in the face. She gets up out of the water. And then Esther's like, please, mommy. And she has like a knife behind her back. And then you get the iconic line from the film, which is, I'm not your fucking mommy. And then just gives her this full just front kick right to the face and breaks this girl's neck back. It's amazing. It's such a brutal, awesome death. Like, for a character you thought was 9 years old throughout the film, to watch her head kicked back and broke like that, it's not something you're going to see much. You're not going to see that much, especially on a child. As I said, I know it's supposed to be a 33-year-old woman, but the actress playing her is 12. and she gets her head kicked back so far it breaks her neck. It's beautiful. It is such a gnarly looking sequence. Yeah, I feel like horror movies ruin everything, right? Like, name a thing, and then I'll tell you what horror movie fucking ruined it. So this movie makes you afraid to adopt a child, which you shouldn't be afraid to adopt a child. If you're even thinking about it, you should do it, because besides my children, my favorite person on this earth is my brother Nathan, and he's adopted. So for me, I'm somebody who is all about adoption. Otherwise, I wouldn't have my favorite person of all time in my life. So yay for adoption, boo for Esther, and yay for David B. You got your review, man. I'm going to say some nudie magazine day. I like when the kids go up and they're looking at the magazine. Remember when porno was just like finding your brother's mags and shit? Different times. I think I talked about everything. So, yeah, there you go. All right, man. Adios.